Discover the 4th of July sale at Target. Save 20% on clothing and swimwear for women, select cookies with Target Circle, and up to 50% off Sun Squad sporting goods. Get ready for a fireworks-worthy celebration with patriotic cookies, fun sports gear, and of course, spectacular fits. The deal's in July 5th, so hurry and get 20% off apparel, select cookies with Target Circle, and 50% off Sun Squad sports gear, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Get one free set of Brake Best brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Step up to the plate and add your favorite players to your lineup with Prize Picks. The best place to cash in on your favorite sports. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code ROAM and get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The KFH Studios, powered by Devon James Injury Lawyers. Call 888-8888.
That's 888-8888.
From the Accident Recovery Team Traffic Center, don't worry about me, I called ART.
Traffic.
We have a stalled out vehicle southbound on I-235. It's between MacArthur and Seneca down in South Wichita. Traffic update from 98.7 at 1330 KNSS in the Accident Recovery Team Traffic Center. I'm Jed Chambers.
Weather.
Mostly sunny skies, warm with low humidity. Today we'll go a high of 88 with the north wind going east at only 5 to 10. Mostly clear, 67 tonight. Mostly sunny, 87 on Wednesday with a stronger breeze from the south at 10 to 20. Partly cloudy Thursday and upper 80s. May see a storm late Thursday night into Friday morning. That's your forecast from Storm Team 12. I'm meteorologist Jake Dunn.
Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH Wichita, KNSS HD2 Clearwater, and Odyssey Sports Station.
Hey Wichita, it's Jacob Althrottle. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Nick Casario is joining us.
I'm sorry for sliding into Geoff and Lincoln's interview slot here. I mean, except for Brazil. If I had a beef, like what's my beef? My beef would be with Brazil. So you're playing the opening game of the NFL season, and if somebody had a question, they could go right to DJ on it. Why don't you see if you can reach out to my wife, Stuck Nut, and see if she'll let you in. I have no social media game whatsoever, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask about anybody's social media.
Not yet.
You're pushing me on that. We'll see if maybe the crew can help me on that. So I know that's why Lauren and the boys came over, so maybe they can. I'll pay them a consulting fee for that.
You just name check Lauren, no less, man. Nick Casario is freaking everywhere.
But I would just say again, the dark horse in all of this is Iafrate, and you've said it yourself. When he calls, I mean, the earth shatters. I love the show. I love everything you're about. I appreciate the relationship.
I'm Jim Rome.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Attention retirement savers. A top U.S. bank predicts a 2025 recession as tariffs rattle markets. According to reports, 2025 recession risk just increased significantly. That's why thousands of hardworking Americans are turning to award-winning precious metals company, Goldco. Goldco is offering you a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, you can get an unlimited instant match and bonus silver for qualified accounts. Call 855-969-GOLD. Find out how you can help diversify your savings. Tax and penalty-free today. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
Well, hey there. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? It's a Tuesday. It's Sports Daily. Albrock and Castor here with you. Max Power producing for us as we continue to make our way through the dog days of summer here. The calendar turns to July. We'll start to set our focus on the upcoming NFL season. We'll get training camps this month. We will continue to dive into the Chiefs and the rest of the NFL and what we think, maybe start coming up with some predictive things. We'll have our Chiefs insider, sort of our football insider this summer, Felix Johnson, in later in the show to help us do all that. The Royals, well, they don't get the road trip started well. The long ball bites them as they fall to Seattle in the opener there. And the danger of this series is that's the team that they're trailing in the wild card. So if they don't at least split, they're going to find themselves somewhere between 5.5 and 8.5 games back in the wild card. So we will dig into that, of course, and much, much more here on the program. It's all What's on Tap, and it is brought to you by Wichita Brewing Company. Oh, by the way, at Wichita Brewing Company, they're celebrating the 4th with $4 beers from July 2nd through July 6th. So this starts tomorrow at all 3 brew pubs. A great idea if you've got people out of town, if you're looking for a place to go, you're tired of cooking. Wichita Brewing Company, $4 beers, July 2nd through the 6th inside the 3 brew pubs. That's What's on Tap. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Tuesday. I got to take advantage of the $4 beers. That sounds pretty incredible.
I do love their beer.
Man.
I do love their beer. Wooshock wheat is, and I don't normally drink a lot of wheat beer, like hardly ever, unless I'm at Wichita Brewing Company. I really like their Wooshock wheat. I like a lot of them. My wife's V6 drinker, their IPA.
Your wife does. She is an IPA fan, which I'm not. I've never been an IPA guy.
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't like them much.
Too hoppy for me. I can't.
Too hoppy. The reason I don't like IPAs is because I try to drink IPAs like I'm drinking a light beer, and it's just going to be a major headache for me. That's the main reason. But yeah, it's a little hoppier. I like it, just a good drinking beer, if that makes any sense. Like just a beer you can make it through with no effort, and you just move on. So good thing about Wichita Brewing Company is they have lots to choose from, lots and lots to choose from, and you can find them at a lot of different restaurants, not just their place across town. Tommy, that was a pretty rough way to start the Royals series. Just, a couple of bad pitches here and there, but no surprise, the offense can't do anything, so it doesn't really matter. It just cannot score runs. George Kirby's a good pitcher, but he's been gettable this year while he comes back from injury. Just not a lot of, if you're the opposition right now pitching to the Royals, you're just not scared of anything.
I mean, you're right. I mean, honestly, they could go up there and, have, I don't know, little meatballs thrown to them the entire game and probably not score more than a couple of runs. It's an anemic offense. It has been an anemic offense. That hasn't changed. The difference between now and the beginning of the year, which we've talked about at length, is the fact that the Royals pitching is not as dominant as it was.
The best in baseball every night.
It can't compensate for the lack of offense. And, when you're taking on Cal Raleigh and what he does, and I mean, he had another home run last night. I just saw a graphic on TV that showed that he's behind only Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire for most home runs before the All-Star break, which is wild to me. And, you go back to the epic season that Bonds had when he hit 70, and then the 1998 home run chase with McGwire and Sosa, and Griffey was in the mix, for that too. So like he's doing historic things, and the Royals ran up against him last night and he hit another home run.
By the way, he's a catcher.
He's a catcher. And it just so happens that the Royals don't have any way to counteract what the Mariners were doing offensively. It's like a boxing match, and they got KO'd pretty early, and they just don't have the arsenal to be able to back it up.
The Mariners are one of my favorite, I don't want to call them a dark horse necessarily, but like one of my favorite under the radar World Series picks. if they can get and stay healthy in their rotation with Raleigh or Rosarena, who are the two damage doers last night, and Julio Rodriguez, who's one of the better young players in baseball, like they really do have a shot. They've got some really good pitching. Their rotation is solid. And the Royals are about to find that out. And this was the danger of this series. The Royals, you feel like they're almost half the going to pitch their way through it and win a couple, nail biters. I think, if you're looking for non-doomsday, it's going to have to be at least a series split. I think they can work with that. I think they can, if they can keep it to that, then they'll be okay to sort of at least in the back of your head have an optimistic take. But boy, if they do more than that, it's going to be tough. We'll get into all of that as we make our way through. The other big thing happening yesterday, and honestly, it's pretty hard to keep up with, is the NBA free agency season gets underway. I've always thought the NBA free agency season is probably the most difficult to try and track. The NFL's is also crazy, but man, the NBA's moves so dang fast. Just move after move after move after move made across the league. It's such a flurry, and you're like, okay, well, let me just keep up with the headline moves. It's hard. It's hard to do it. There's a lot of teams that made crazy, impactful, groups of moves that are going to make a big difference for them next year, I think. And we will probably just watch Giannis and LeBron and wonder what they'll do. And that's okay. Like, I feel like that's kind of where we are with the league. But, man, there's a ton of activity across the NBA with deals and trades. And it's tough to keep up with. These NBA GMs, like, it's the least fan-friendly, I think, contractual and, like, the transactional nature of the league is the hardest to follow as a fan.
Well, and it's not like there have been major marquee moves outside of Kevin Durant. That's about the only one this offseason that was kind of a needle mover, I think, as far as what's been going on transactionally in the NBA over the last couple of weeks. And of course, that happened during the NBA Finals. So it's not like it's happening now when there's not basketball going on. Really outside of that, it's kind of just like you mentioned, watching what Giannis is going to do and watching what LeBron is going to do. And can the Lakers pick up some reinforcements? And, are the Rockets a legitimate contender now?
My very untrained NBA eyes these days, the Rockets had the best day yesterday to me.
The Rockets, I think, so far have had the best offseason. I mean, honestly, being able to bring in Durant, and then even more than that, Fred VanVleet obviously signing a brand new deal and freeing up money for the team to go and get reinforcements. I mean, it was VanVleet really in his contract restructuring that allowed the Rockets to have the kind of day that they had yesterday in free agency.
And does that surprise you at all?
Not at all.
Fred
I mean,
do that? Yeah.
He's got his bag, but he declined the player option. And at that point, they signed him to a deal, and that freed up money to go get free agents and build that team. And I like the Rockets approach. I'm not a big Durant guy, but I understand why they brought him in. And I understand the fact that I understand. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. And they also were able to get reinforcements in free agency yesterday. So
it's easy for me to just root for Fred. Like, honestly, like I can root for the Rockets because I'll root for Fred. We'll get into them because I'm with you. I thought they had the best day. We'll take a stab at it, and then we'll look at some of the more headline-y things with the star players. But we'll do all that as we make our way through your calls, comments. Thanks for watching on 12 News Connected, Facebook, YouTube, X, and, of course, listening on KFH. It's All Brockton Caster on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
They're not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now. 831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. Glad to be here with you. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every day here, not just at KFH, but all across the Odyssey studios. Appreciate their support of the program. Tommy, did you make it up late with the Royals? I made it to about 8 innings, and I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, I got shorter than that. I think I was 5 innings or 6 innings, and they're down 5-1. I'm like, I mean, what are the odds they are able to score runs to get back in this game? I think I'm going to go to bed.
It's so, man, it's just frustrating to see this rough stretch. I don't know if it's helpful at all to them because it's going to help them define what the rest of their season is, but they're going to get hot at some point before this season's over. And it will, because that's just the way this season has gone.
Okay. All
And
right.
we'll be like, but they're probably going to fall too far out of it, no matter when it happens. It's just like, if it happens sooner than later, is it just fool's gold? Like, if it happens and they can get with 3.5 or 2.5, like, is it even realistic? So then I keep looking at all these trade lists, and I'm not the only one that has a hard time with it. Not very many places are really listing their players. You had that one story where Lugo was mentioned, and then you've had the Duran rumors, but otherwise they're not really ever listed as true sellers. And I think that just sort of defines this season, because the reality is, like, if they were true sellers at the deadline, it would be more than just Lugo that they would be moving. They would move bullpen pieces at that point, I would think. They would shop a lot of guys around, and that we may get to that point. Like, this series is gonna, like, if they don't do something in this series, and it's either gonna be 5.5 or 8.5 back, like, like that at that point. Because remember, Seattle's the last team in the wild card right now. That means the other teams are further ahead than that. That means Toronto and Tampa are even further ahead than Seattle. So, I mean, it honestly, and I don't want to be too hyperbolic here, but this is probably the biggest urgency spot of the season for the Royals, this early week series right here.
Well, and I think that's what made the game last night that much more frustrating, probably even more so, in my opinion, than the homestand, or the last 2 homestands for that matter, for the Royals, because they're in a situation now where they're playing a team that has one of the wild card spots. You can gain a significant amount of ground in this 4-game stretch. And I know it's on the road, and I know that the Mariners have a really good lineup and studs that can hit the ball over the fence and all of that. But this was a spot last night for the Royals, coming off of a 1-5 homestand. You needed to reset, you needed to regroup, and you needed to go and get the opening game in this series. And at least at that point, then you feel like there's maybe some hope. You feel like at that point, okay, like they got the first game on the road against the Mariners, against the team they're chasing in the wild card, and then they fell flat, like we've seen so many times. Here's the thing, and the reason I laughed a moment ago when you said the Royals are going to get hot at some point is that I think that's just wishful thinking. I think that's just grasping at straws. Like, we're not going to see another 16-4 stretch we saw back in, when was that, the month of May? Like, we're not going to see that again from the Royals.
We're not going to see that, but they're also not going to all of a sudden finish 40 games under 500.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but like, would they play 500 ball the rest of the way? Maybe, but I mean, I don't
that's
even
not
know
good enough, obviously.
Right. And I don't know if I'm even willing to bank on that. Like, the way that this team has played, the overall body of work for the last month and a half, really, has been a mediocre at best baseball team. That's just who they are at this point. Like, and it doesn't mean that they can't rattle off some wins. Of course, like, remember, they went on the road to the Rangers and swept them and looked really good when they did that. They went on the road to San Diego and looked pretty good in the opening game before they lost the final 2 in that series on the road. But they looked competitive against one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. There were times against the Dodgers that they looked competitive. They looked like they could hang with a team like the Dodgers. But then for as many games like that, there have been just absolute eggs that they've laid. Just absolute duds. The series against the Yankees, the series against Tampa Bay, like, all of it just shows, like, to me, they are right now, that they are who they are, and they're a mediocre ball club right this second.
Well, let's hope they're mediocre, I guess, is the point for me. Because if they're mediocre, that's why I say, like, at some point they're going to, because the law of averages says they'll heat up and win some games. But man, if you take away, it was 6 out of 7, and then it was 9 out of 10, and then it was 9 out of 11, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. So it was 16-2. if you take the 16-2 out of their record right now, and just, I'm not saying they wouldn't have won any of them, but let's just, take that very small part of the season out, and they're 14 games worse, and they're 7 games, like, you'd be sitting here looking at like one of the worst teams in baseball. And I don't think they are that, right? I don't think that's what they are. Their roster's much better than that. And so I think the problem, and why it looks more and more like sell is because even if they have a stretch where they're pretty good, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough over time. Now, they can finish this series out. They can win the next 3 games, and this all changes. We're still in that part of the season, right? Where it's like, okay, it looks like they're back. But we can't ignore the overall body of work, which is they've had an 18-game stretch, essentially 3 weeks, where they were outstanding. And for pretty much the rest of the season, they haven't been very good. Like, it's been that, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think that also, like, you look at do they pass the eye test? And the answer is no. Like, are they a playoff team? Do they look like a playoff team? Outside of that 3-week stretch, no. Like, they honestly don't. They didn't start the season looking like a playoff team. I think that it was a little bit of fool's gold, and I'll admit I bought into it too at the time. Like, I'm like, man, they're 16-4 in 20 games. Like, this team looks incredible. And yeah, they're not scoring a bunch of runs, but the pitching is elite and it's wonderful. And eventually the offense is going to catch up with what the pitching is doing. And that didn't happen. And they went completely the opposite direction. And I'll admit, I was fooled by them at the time. I thought that they were a legitimate playoff contender like they were a year ago. And it makes me like, it sucks because I thought that they were for real. I thought that they were legitimate. They don't pass the eye test anymore. And they haven't for a while. I think that's the thing, is that, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, before that homestand against the Rays and the Dodgers, you're like, yeah, like, they haven't played very well. Like, I was kind of thinking, like, they haven't played very well. They're hovering around 500. Let them get hot a little bit, and they'll be right back in the mix. I'm kind of off that train at this point. Like,
yeah,
they do not look like they are worthy or capable of a playoff spot. They're not a playoff baseball team.
Right. And I totally agree with that. There's just so much baseball to play, in the pitching, unless they trade it all away. And I think this is why this conversation stays so interesting. They have right now allowed the 4th fewest runs in baseball. Yeah, that's how good their pitching has been. It's been very, 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 very good. They have scored the fewest runs in baseball now. Like, that's what the month of June did, right? They were kind of hovering and floating with some of those bad teams. Now they're the worst. They're basically the worst offense in baseball. And so they won't stay one of the best pitching staffs in baseball if they trade these pieces away. That puts the dagger in it for sure.
I don't even think if they keep all their pitching that they're going to be one of the best pitching staffs in baseball.
Well, I think they'll remain top 10 probably.
They'll be good, but they're not going to be elite like that, and so I think that we'll look back and at the end of the season and be like, all right, that was a good pitching staff, but not good enough to compensate for the lack of offense.
And there has never been, well, right. If you're just comparing it to the rest of the league, it's probably going to be top 10. But honestly, like, that is probably the thing that would add to the urgency to make some trades. Like, I still cannot, as much as we both, and you more than me, thought they needed to add another bat in the offseason, I cannot believe how non-productive this offense has been. When you look at the names in the lineup, it blows my mind that they've been as bad offensively as they have been. I cannot believe it. So I don't know that that's changing, even if they made a trade to try and make it better for this year, right? For this year, I don't think that's going to change. The pitching, I agree, and I've said it forever. Being the 4th best staff in baseball is probably not sustainable. It's going to take at least that, it feels like, if they're going to remain in this thing at all over the next month. So the urgency then becomes strike while the iron's hot with these pitchers and trade them away. I mean, that's what to me, that's what is that, like, that's the story that's unfolding, is that regardless if the Royals can sort of win half their games this month, they're going to almost certainly become sellers, because you have to imagine, like, what does this look like? And again, they're always going to be like tentative sellers, because a lot of the players they have are under contract, right? There's a handful that they could potentially trade away to bring in hauls, but you got to be careful. You have to be careful, because the Royals don't have some long sustained success here. They have last year. That's the only one in about the last decade that has been worth anything. And while I do think the light at the end of the tunnel is much, much brighter after last year than it was 2-3 years ago, you got to be careful with the fans, because if you give them 1 out of 10 years and then you're going to try another small rebuild, that's a tough sell. So they got to be really careful how they do it and who they do it with, because I
don't think they have some fundamental pieces that I don't think you need to do, tear it down to the studs and rebuild. Like, can you get better around the margins? Sure. Can you move out players that, are not going to be around long term, or that, you can get a return for that will help you 2 years down the line, 4 years down the line, et cetera, et cetera. Sure, you can, without totally blowing the whole thing up, right? Like, they've got Bobby Witt Jr., and he's absolutely a foundational piece. They signed him to a long-term deal for that reason. Jack Caglione is probably a foundational piece long-term for this team. Vinny Pasquantino has shown that he's probably a long-term foundational piece for this team. Salvador Perez is not going to play forever, and we've seen, the diminishing returns from him over the last couple of years. He's getting older. He's not producing the way that he had. You need to probably start looking at a succession plan for him. From there, I think, and of course, Michael Garcia has been fantastic, but from there, then you look at, all right, like, there are a lot of other holes out in the field that you need to fill. Like, it's a hodgepodge of guys that Matt Quatrero has trotted out there in the outfield and in the bottom half of the lineup. It just really is. Like, you've got names like, of course, it started with MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe. You've got Mark Canha. You've got Drew Waters, who I thought was going to latch on, and he has lost a bunch of at-bats recently, which is weird to me. You've got Kyle Isbell, who's been fairly consistent, but he's not going to be a major needle mover for you. Michael Massey's hurt, but he's been terrible. And then from there, like, other guys like John Rave and Tyler Tolbert and other players that are playing in the outfield that you're kind of like, man, like, they're just kind of throwing bodies out there, like warm bodies to play out in the outfield and in the bottom half of that lineup. Like, you've got to get that shored up. I think the front office can do that without blowing up the entire thing. I think you can address the needs that you have without, like, this major rebuild.
I think so too. And for me, it's more about the bullpen. Because the bullpen is usually the most tradable, but you're going to need a good bullpen next year too. And so, how much of that are you willing to move on from? The best news for the Royals in the short term is their most desirable and tradable asset is something everybody wants. And from a perception standpoint, it doesn't put the nail in your coffin. And that would be to trade Seth Lugo, because that is where you have the most depth. And I think, if you're the Royals, you can sort of start there. I still think they ought to be in the business of, not with the sense, and they could frame it this way, but the reality would be not that they think they could go get a bat that puts them over the edge this year, but that they can go get a bat that helps them next year. Because the great danger to me for the Royals isn't that this season gets away. It's that next season gets away. It's that the season after that gets away. So, look, if for whatever reason this one is not going to go the way that you want it to go, then you cannot let that snowball into next year. So if there's a bat that you can go get that you think that helps you, and it seems like, well, why are they going to be aggressive to trade for a bat? I think you got to still look at that. Back to the point we talked about more last week before the week got away from them. Like, can they be buyers and sellers? I still think there's some, but obviously not for rentals, but they should be in the business of finding a bat, because they couldn't do it in free agency. You can control a trade just a little bit more than you can control free agency. So if you can go find somebody, go find somebody. And if you don't think Noah Cameron is going to be, Tom Glavine, go trade Noah Cameron. Go get yourself a bat, right? Daniel Lynch is sitting there. Can Daniel Lynch do the same thing Chris Bubich has done? I don't know, but they have to look at it. I think they have to be aggressive at the deadline in that way too. Like, can we go acquire somebody that helps us long-term? Like, not only who can we afford to trade away, but who's going to be out there where we don't have to go try to outbid the Mets for a bat? Like, who's out there that we could go trade and control for a few years, like we did with Lucas Ursig, that kind of a trade, right? Like, who could we go find right now that can help us next year and maybe help you this year a little bit? I don't know, but that probably doesn't matter.
The key there from what you just said, I don't disagree with you, but the key there is control for a few years. Like, you've got if you're gonna trade away a guy like Noah Cameron, who's been stellar. He's been the main bright spot, I would say, overall, and biggest revelation for this team so far in 2025. If you're going to move a piece like that could potentially be a cornerstone pitcher for your rotation long term, you got to make sure if you're going to go get another bat, that bat is you're going to have control for, I don't know, at least 2 years, if not longer.
I agree.
3, maybe 4 years. If you can. The last thing the Royals want to do is trade away a piece like Noah Cameron for somebody that is just going to leave you in free agency at the end of this year, or even
a guy like Jaron Durant
at the end of next year. Like, I even think that, like, even a guy having a year remaining on his contract after this season is not enough to be able to trade a piece like Noah Cameron. I'm of the camp that I think they should keep Cameron, because if you're going to end up moving Lugo, and I would imagine that probably more than likely he will by the trade deadline be on another team. I don't know what team, but I would imagine that'll probably happen, in my opinion. If you're going to move him and you're unsure about the recovery of Alec Marsh, you're unsure about the recovery of Kyle Wright, you're unsure about the development of Daniel Lynch as a full-blown starter, you're going to need Noah Cameron in that rotation long-term. Next year, the year after that, the year after that. So I'm a little bit hesitant to trade Noah Cameron, but if they're going to move him and if they're going to entertain offers for him, you have to, number one, it's got to be a big league ready bat. And number two, it's got to be a guy that you've got control over for a few years.
Sure. I totally agree. I would caution you, though, that if they don't include somebody like him in a trade, you got to be ready for more of the Mark Cannas of the world, of the Hunter Renfroe type additions of the world, because that's where the Royals have been able to play in free agency. Like, that's their sort of range for these bats. We'll get more into the Royals in the next hour and sort of look ahead. Look, they can, go beat Seattle 3 times, and we're having a totally different conversation on Friday. I mean, that's the reality of this thing. That's what's in front of them, but it's up to them, man. We can't will it into existence. They got to go score some runs, something they haven't really done at all year. The worst offense in baseball. So we'll come back. Let's look at this free agency picture in the NBA. It has been nuts. We'll take a look and sort of look to the juicier stuff that hasn't quite happened yet that might. That's next on Sports Daily.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
They're not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of fantasy. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now. 83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor, glad to be with you on this Tuesday as we are getting you ready. Hey, the summer concert series is back at the Capitol Federal Amphitheater in Andover. The series returns Friday, July 11th with Jet City live on stage. Gates open at 6:30. Show starts at 8. Enjoy free live music, food trucks, Friday night fun all summer long. You can find the full schedule at KFHradio.com for the summer concert series. You want to win some HTO? Let's do that right now. Just text the keyword T to the short code 20357 HTO at Wichita East, Wichita West, and in Derby. More than 25 flavors of delicious sweet and unsweet iced tea. You can win a free cup on us right now. Just text the keyword T to the short code 20357. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Tommy, we come back in trying to keep up with the frenzy of the NBA free agency. You and I mentioned this off the top briefly, but we both kind of like what the Rockets are cooking here. Fred VanVleet, you could kind of see this coming a little bit when he signed his deal and sort of gave a little money back. It felt like they go and they get Durant. Now they brought in Clint Capella. They brought in Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, they are adding to the team that last year was really good, but really inexperienced, maybe not very deep. They're adding that depth. They add Kevin Durant. I think right now, if you took what's being reported as the moves they're going to make, what they've done, I think that's a team that absolutely could compete with Oklahoma City in the West.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not the biggest Kevin Durant fan, but this move makes a tremendous amount of sense for him to go to the Rockets because of the fact that he does better when he's got a stacked team around him. I mean, a lot of players do, but that's kind of what he does. He becomes kind of that hired gun to come in with a team that, has a lot of talent around him. And then he's that final piece to kind of get them over the hump. He did that at Golden State. And it worked out really well. Didn't really work out with Brooklyn. Didn't really work out with Phoenix. But we've seen a couple of different times, at least, where that has worked out. And I think this is a much better situation for him than what he had in Phoenix, for sure. Having Fred VanVleet around him, and then, being able to, the flexibility to go out and sign guys, like Jabari Smith, and then they went and signed Dorian Finney-Smith, and they've got other players now around to help build that team and the supporting cast. I do think that they are a threat to the Thunder in the West. I do think that they have got the pieces together now to at least be a contender. I still like Oklahoma City overall in the West, but I certainly think the Rockets have had the best offseason so far.
Yeah, and I think, they become not just in the West, but even in the East. I think right now, to me, would be the number 2 sort of team.
Like in the NBA entirely?
In the NBA entirely. I'm not sure who you'd put ahead of them, right? Like, who would you put ahead of them? Let's just look at the odds right now.
I'd put a healthy Boston over them, but,
but Boston's not going to be healthy. Right. Okay. So right now, they're tied with they're tied with Denver right now. Denver's 8-1. The Rockets are 8-1, and the Thunder are the favorite at about 2.5 to 1. That's according to ESPN bets. So they're right there, and I think that's fine. And the other teams in the mix are Cleveland and the Knicks. That makes sense. You know who the next team would be? You wouldn't get this if I gave you 20 guesses.
The Magic.
You cheater.
I didn't even look. But the Magic, they've been very active.
You cheater.
No, I swear I didn't look it up. You can look at my phone. I don't even have it pulled up. The Magic, they made a trade a couple of weeks ago that was, or last week, whenever it was, that was pretty impactful. Like I can.
Who's on that team besides Paolo Banchero?
They like Banchero. They think
I love Banchero, but who else is even on that team? That's crazy that they're ahead of Minnesota and the Clippers right now, even the Lakers for that, for that matter. But that's
Mac McClung is on that team.
Who?
Mac McClung. Remember old Mac from Texas Tech? He's on that team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Paolo and Mac McClung. That makes them the 5th.
Desmond Bane is on the team. That was the big.
Bane's good.
They traded for Bane. That was the big one.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's on my fantasy basketball team. Anyway, I think the Rockets are right there. And as the Nuggets trade away Michael Porter Jr., it looks like I put the Rockets ahead of Denver. But it has been a flurry. And so as we look at it, and this is really like, you can go back to all the conversations over the last month we had about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, they don't really have to do anything. They can just keep using all their draft picks, try to build depth that way. They've got all these guys kind of locked up for a little bit. Like, they're at a big advantage here, and they can, just try to ride it out. But I do think Houston's in a position. Look, they got to stay healthy, and they're relying on an older Durant. I get all that, and an older VanVleet. I think for Durant, it's a good spot because Fred VanVleet isn't afraid of anything, including Kevin Durant being in the locker room. I think for Durant to get somewhere where that dynamic exists is a good thing. All these young players, like, whose toes is he going to step on in Houston? I don't think there's a set of toes there that he's going to step on. Their young players are, they're still in a position where they got to develop, right? I don't think Amen Thompson, is as bright as his future looks, is commanding shot volume. That was, by some accounts, and I was listening to some of this yesterday on the JR Sport Brief right here on KFH, like the difference in the inefficiency of Jalen Green, the player they traded away to upgrade to Kevin Durant, one of the most efficient players in the history of the league, is such a clear upgrade for what they need that it could make a huge difference for them. Like that was the thing apparently for them that they really struggled with last year, was that inconsistency and that inefficiency. Well, Durant's not inconsistent. He is one of the most, it's like watching Dirk Nowitzki again. Like, you know exactly what you're going to get from him every single time he's on the floor healthy. He's going to get his and give you a ton of scoring. And that's kind of what they need. And they've got these other pieces. So they're a really interesting team. I think that's fun. And I'm glad they've been aggressive like this because it's fun to root for Fred.
And everybody's going to pay attention to the Durant move for good reason, for sure. But I think really what has made the Rockets now a contender, just in general, is the fact that they've done a bunch of other moves too. And they've had that flexibility financially to go and make impactful moves outside of Kevin Durant. I mentioned Jabari Smith. They signed him for $122 million over 5 years. Last night, they signed Dorian Finney-Smith from the Lakers, $53 million over 4 years. And then around the margins, they've got Steven Adams now. They signed him. Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Deshaun Tate. They signed those guys as well. So this is going to be a new look Rockets team, but the consistency is important too. They signed Ime Udoka as their head coach to a contract extension. They've done a lot to solidify themselves as potentially contenders for a long time to come. You know, that Jabari Smith deal is for 5 years, Steven Adams for 3 years, Dorian Smith-Finney for 4 years. Like, they've got a foundation on that team for a long time to come. So I don't think, even if they don't win an NBA championship this season, I think they're setting the groundwork to potentially be a contender for a long time to come.
Yeah, they've done both. I would agree with that. They're going to age out Fred and Kevin Durant at some point. But yeah, they've got some pieces to
Durant before Van Vliet. And Van Vliet's contract is only a 2-year deal, so who knows what he'll do after that.
Right. Yeah. So they've got some time up against them on that. But yeah, I agree with that. They've done a nice job to build for the future and to contend for at least the next couple of years for a title. So they've been really interesting. Of course, the other interesting storylines, we talked about LeBron James yesterday. His situation is very confusing and complicated because he did take his player option, like, to stay, but he's saying, like, I might not stay. So is he going to force a trade? Are we going to go down that road? Who knows? Giannis Antetokounmpo is the other really interesting one because he is, I don't know the exact words his camp has used, but he's open to it. Basically, he's open to moving. If you're the Bucks right now, it's not quite the same as Luka Doncic because Giannis is just a little bit older. But what do you do with that situation? Because with the big time injury that they've had to now sustain and deal with, like, they're not gonna win anything this year. Do you think they could really surround Giannis with another team? I mean, they made their big move for Dame. He got hurt. I just don't know. Like, I think it's different than Luka because trading away a franchise-altering piece like that seems crazy, but it also kind of seems crazy imagining them being able to rebuild another championship team before Giannis could walk away for free. I kind of think if I'm the Bucks, I really would think about it. It would be a devastating trade to make, though. That would be so hard.
I mean, the only way that trade is going to happen is if Giannis is disgruntled enough that he demands it, and it gets to a point to where they can't resolve it. They can't come to a resolution. And I think part of the reason why I'm not a big NBA guy is because the players have all of this power to be, like, disgruntled and unhappy, and then teams will bow down to them and do whatever they want to do. You don't see that as much in the other sports, for sure, like you see in the NBA.
Because I think you see it with quarterbacks in the NFL.
With quarterbacks, but you don't see it throughout the entire.
We're about to see it with TJ Watt.
Well,
I think.
Right. I mean, think about Think about the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. Like Tyreek Hill wanted a lot of money, and they're like, no, we're not going to.
The reason I think is there are very few players. There are far fewer amount of players that singularly can have the same kind of impact as a really good NBA player. You only start 5 guys.
Yeah.
Right. So
think about Major League Baseball. How many times does a player demand a trade in Major League Baseball, and the team is like, okay, we'll do whatever you want to do? Like, that doesn't happen.
No, they're like, go fly a kite.
Right, exactly.
Replacement value in baseball is never that bad.
Yeah. But I don't think we're going to get to that point with Giannis. And the reason why I don't think that is because the East is wide open with the injuries that we've seen in those other teams. And the really impactful ones like Jason Tatum and Dame Lillard and Tyrese Halliburton and all of that. The East is wide open right now, and Giannis is the biggest superstar in that Eastern Conference right now. And so I think the Bucks will continue to try to be as aggressive as they can. They haven't had a good start to free agency, but I think that there's enough time left, and whether it's through a trade or otherwise, I think they can get better enough to where that should be able to convince Giannis that, okay, we've got a good chance here in the East because the landscape is pretty open for us to be competitive.
Well, and you have to have the conversation too, like Giannis, like it might be a rough year. Give us the year. We can get Dame back. Maybe it ends up getting us a good draft pick. Let us have some time to work. I agree. It's all in Giannis's court. But what becomes really interesting is if he's quote unquote open to it, and they begin to be blown away with offers, that at that point you probably have to realistically listen a little bit if you're a team like the Bucks. Remember, some of these franchises in the NBA don't have the luxury of having free agents come to them. They're at a severe disadvantage. And so you have to do it like they did it with Giannis, or the Pacers just did it, or the Thunder just did it. You have to draft really well, because you're not getting free agents, and it just doesn't happen. So they're in a pretty interesting situation. That's all there. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk to Felix Johnson. We'll talk a little football. We'll get back to the Royals a little bit, look at the rest of this series, the matchups. It's all coming for you. It's a Tuesday on Sports Daily. Don't go away.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
They're not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of fantasy. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
8310 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
And welcome back in, everybody. It is another hour of Sports Daily here. It's all Brockton Caster. We're glad to be here with you on a Tuesday. We'll have a little more Royals talk for you. We'll look at the rest of this series and just any chance that the Royals can make something of it with a pretty tremendous opportunity staring them right in the face to play this team that they trail in the wild card standings. So we have that for you. We have Felix Johnson coming in about 15 minutes from now to talk a little Chiefs football, NFL football. We'll begin to look around the NFL and preview things a bit. We've got some time over the next 3 or 4 weeks before training camps begin, and we really ramp up the march to the 2025 NFL season. So we have that for you as well. Your comments on our video streams are available, Facebook, YouTube, X. You can also leave us voice messages on the Odyssey app. And, of course, you can call us the good old-fashioned way on KFH at 869-1240. Max will take those calls for you. It's all what's on tap, and it's all presented there by the Wichita Brewing Company. WBC celebrates the 4th with $4 beers July 2nd through July 6th. So tomorrow through the end of the week, all 3 brew pubs will be offering $4 beers. Great idea if you're looking to entertain some people that maybe are in out of town. If you don't want to cook a meal while we've got a nice holiday weekend, you can go over to Wichita Brewing Company. $4 beers July 2nd through the 6th. What's on tap here on Sports Daily? Tommy, we come back in. We'll have Felix in just a minute. Let's look to this Royals series here against the Mariners directly. We've talked about the doom and gloom portion of this, and it is doomy and gloomy as the team has won just one out of its last what are we at now? 1-9, 1-8 in those stretches since the Rangers sweep. They lost the last two against San Diego, swept by the Rays, lost 2 or 3 to the Dodgers, and now lost the opener to the Mariners. This is as bad a stretch as they've seen all year long. Their record before that, Tommy, was one game. They were at 500 going into that stretch. They were 500 on June 20th. That was not that long ago, right? And now they lose all these games. And they are 7 games under 500, and it feels hopeless at this point. Okay, let's look at some hypotheticals because it's July 1st and we can play glass with just a little bit in it full. What if they get 3 against Arizona, they get 3 against Pittsburgh, and 3 against Miami in their next set of games? They'll also mix in a series, the rest of this series and a series with the Mets. Okay, so think about that for a second. They're at this point, and a lot of these games are on the road, they do play some bad teams coming up. And we mentioned the Diamondbacks and all their injuries. Not necessarily a bad team, but a wounded team. What if at the end of that Marlins series on July 20th, we're sitting here and they can make up 7 of those games and they're at 500 because they're playing bad teams? The schedule, we've talked about the schedule. We don't talk about it as much anymore, but I mean, the schedule is the schedule, and they have the last remaining easy portion coming after this Seattle series. What if they're 500 on July 20th? What are we doing then?
And what if I get on a rocket and fly to Mars? I mean, like we could talk about all of that. Like at the end of the day, like I don't care if they're playing good teams or bad teams. They're scoring 1 run a game or 2 runs a game.
Right.
It hasn't mattered. Like the schedule has not particularly mattered as much. And I know it's been a tough stretch, and we knew that, going into it when you had the Yankees and you had the Dodgers and the Padres and the Rays, they got swept by them. It's been a difficult stretch for sure, schedule wise for the Royals, but really even they've had a couple of more manageable series sprinkled in there, and they've not particularly performed in those either.
White Sox.
Right. Exactly. And so from a hypothetical point of view, I get that. Like, yeah, sure. Like they play bad teams. Could they beat up on them coming up? Sure. But I also see a scenario where they don't. And I think that's a more likely scenario that they don't.
I think it's more likely.
Because here's the thing. There's 7 games under 500. As far as I'm concerned, that could be 25 games under 500. Like that feels like nearly an impossible mountain to climb. And I know that that's pessimistic. And I know that I should probably have a little bit more optimism behind the way that the pitching has been the majority of the season and all of that. But I'm having a hard time finding concrete reasons to think that they're going to be able to pull themselves out of it. Schedule be damned. Like, I'm not sure that it matters what kind of team they're playing in the next couple of weeks. They're only scoring 1 or 2 runs a game. That's it.
They've only been scoring 1 or 2 runs a game all season. The problem, they just went 1-5 against the White Sox and the A's.
Yeah.
So, again, I am not as definitive ever in this stuff probably as you are. So I'm just trying to remember that this is a baseball season. Weird things happen in a baseball season. Major, crazy, wild swings happen in a baseball season. And I'm just trying to look at it from a perspective. It's July 1st. And if you're a Royals fan, you need the Royals to at least take you the next month, right? You need to at least get you to training camp for the NFL. And so I do think there remains a world where they can at least dangle a carrot at the end of the stick. I also don't think it's realistic at all that is sustainable because their offense is so wildly inconsistent. But when I say things like, I think there is a heater coming at some point, and maybe it's a short-lived one, maybe it's just a 10-game stretch where they can win 8 of 10. It very likely is not going to be nearly enough for this team to reach the postseason. I hope it happens sooner than later, because I want for fans to still get another good month of baseball.
What does a heater mean to you, though? Like,
not much anymore. Again, like a week or two where they win 8 or 9 games, like where they put together an 8 out of 10 stretch, a 9 out of 11 stretch, or
what does that look like? And I'm not even talking about like wins and losses. I'm talking about the performance. What kind of performance?
It would take a little sustained offense, which we've only seen in 4 or 5 game stretches this year.
We haven't seen it. Like,
but
that's why
it is baseball, and they won 16 of 18 while still not scoring any runs. So it's doable, right? They've done it.
My point is that if what constitutes a heater is sustained offense, there haven't been a whole lot of examples of them being able to do that. So if they're gonna get on a heater, quote unquote, it's gonna have to be another way, because
it would take individuals. Like, you could. I guess the question is, because we all still believe in Bobby Witt Jr., for instance, right? We've seen Vinny get on a heater. So could Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny, and I don't know, pick another player, Michael Garcia, whatever it is, could they get hot collectively for a week? Sure, they can. Is that enough? The problem with the difference between now and earlier is the pitching is not the best pitching staff in baseball. It's only top 5 in baseball, right? So this was the caution to begin with. I'm just saying, like, I hope that it happens over the next month, just for fans to be able to cling on to something would be really nice. Because there's almost no chance that it's going to be sustained enough for them to climb back into a playoff race. It's still possible. It is just July 1st, but it's so unlikely. Just give it to us until we can get to training camps. That's so much to ask, Royals. Can you just hang in the race here for the next month for us? We'll see. They get Seattle for 3 games. The pitching will favor, in my opinion, the pitching will favor the Mariners, not tonight necessarily, but it's Lorenzen tonight, who's been the shakiest of the Royals starter. But then you've got to go up against Gilbert and Wu. But you got Cameron and Lugo, so it'll be pitching on pitching, except for tonight. Hey, Royals, here's an opportunity for a slugfest. Can you go get it? I don't know if you heard Enia Quatraro after Sunday's loss. They all are saying the same things, like they get it. I don't remember this group ever visibly pressing as much as they're pressing right now. That's sort of like was their superpower last year. Man, this is weighing on them right now. And I don't know how you shake that. Like, how do you take the weight of the world off your shoulders and just get after it? I don't know.
I dangled the carrot a few weeks ago. I'll dangle it again. I think you have to make a change with their hitting coach. I think that Alex Zumwalt has he's got to be the fall guy. Whether or not it's his fault, I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of what the Royals hitting coach does on a day-to-day basis. But somebody's got to fall on the sword. And we're at a point, and they're the worst offense in Major League Baseball. And they're showing no signs of turning it around. In fact, it's getting more and more painful to watch, to be quite honest with you. I think that I've said it before, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I think that Matt Quatraro has got to draw a line in the sand. In my opinion, I think that's with the hitting coach. Whether or not that will wake the guys up, I have no idea, or if it'll just cause them to press more. I don't know. I don't have a clue.
It's not going to make. I mean, it would only be a potential eye opener. You can't change approaches.
It's a symbolic move at best, but it's better than sitting on your hands and doing nothing, in my opinion.
And at some point, the ownership may have to come in and be like, "Yo, dude, it's him or you." With Quatraro, like we can't. We're not messing around with this anymore. And they do. They have too much on the line. Think about what ownership has on the line right now.
I think it sends a message to the players. It sends a message to the fan base that, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. We're not okay with it. And whether or not it actually improves things or not, that's not really the point. The point is that we're not going to be okay with the status quo moving forward.
We'll keep watching. We'll keep listening right here on KFH. They are, by the numbers and on paper, very much still in this thing. But boy, they have been playing bad for a while now. We'll come back. Felix Johnson's going to join us. We'll talk a little football when we return. Don't go away. More Sports Daily right after this.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
They're not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of fantasy. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now. 8310 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Digging deeper with the teams you follow. It's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
And we welcome you back in here to Sports Daily with our pal Felix Johnson, Arrowhead Addict. You can follow him on X at Felix R. Johnson, all kinds of stuff, working through the offseason. Felix, it's just like finding a pot of gold when you get a real life NFL trade to talk about. Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick. What is this, a baseball trade?
Yeah, you're getting starters.
Player? What in the world? It's an interesting one.
I think that's the craziest part, is that you're getting starters for starters. And I mean, we're sitting here first day of July, so it'd be kind of ridiculous to trade for picks at this point because you wouldn't be able to use them until 2026. And so it is awesome that it works out that way for both teams, that they're going to get contributors for week one. But it kind of shifts both defenses, where Mike Tomlin and the Steelers have been running basically this Tampa defense forever, because that's what Mike Tomlin has been doing, because he was with Tony Dungy back in the day with the Buccaneers. And things are kind of moving back to what they like to do. And so adding another corner, especially a hybrid like Jalen Ramsey, and seeing what he's going to be able to do and what he has been able to do over the course of his career, is going to make that defense even better than what it usually is, unless the Steelers trade TJ Watt, which was something that came out. That's just another weird thing that Pittsburgh might do. And then on Miami's front, they have a pretty good pass rush. The only thing that they needed was a safety, and the reunion that we thought was going to happen for the last couple of weeks was going to be between Jalen Ramsey and the Rams. Turns out it was Minkah Fitzpatrick and the Dolphins. And so, like, I don't think either defense got better necessarily. They just changed, because you're kind of giving a secondary playmaker for another secondary playmaker. Where it's kind of interesting is kind of in the margins, where you get another starter, another contributor at least. Jonnu Smith is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he's your more motion tight end, a guy that can move around a little bit. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to be able to do with Aaron Rodgers, and because that's when Aaron Rodgers was the most effective with Matt LaFleur, and when the offense was a little bit more fluid and able to move around. So I think things got more interesting defensively for both teams, but only the Steelers got better. But even then, it doesn't really matter because of all the other things that are happening around both teams.
Yeah, it's been such an interesting and dare I say bizarre offseason for the Steelers. Obviously trading away George Pickens, but then getting DK Metcalf and acquiring Aaron Rodgers, trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then now it looks like maybe they might trade TJ Watt, and teams are looking at potentially what they want to offer the Steelers for TJ Watt. So it's kind of like a rebuild, but then it's also not a rebuild. Like I have no idea how to really categorize what the Steelers are trying to do this offseason.
It is kind of weird where they let George Pickens go, and there's talk of them letting go of TJ Watt. So, like, as soon as they get somebody interesting to add to one side of the ball, they're like, all right, let's take the most interesting part out, at least that we had. And it is kind of weird that it's happening. But what have we known about the Steelers for all three of our lifetimes? They just want to win as much as they can. And so holding on to TJ Watt makes the most sense. And I think they're just kind of saying, if we can get 3 first-round picks, which it's TJ Watt, you very well might, then I think they would at least take a few phone calls. But I don't think you sign Aaron Rodgers to the deal that you signed him to. You're getting him there in the offseason to not try and go all in this season. And again, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is what they do every season, and they're still probably going to win 8, maybe 10 games at the most.
Well, I think we're talking to Felix Johnson here, our NFL insider this time of year, our Chiefs insider during the season. I look, the Steelers are better than they were a year ago. Is that an accurate statement? I think it is. If TJ Watt's there. If TJ Watt is there, their line is better. Aaron Rodgers is better than Russell Wilson, in my opinion, at this point in their careers. DK Metcalf is less of a headache and still a supremely talented player if you're swapping he and Pickens, and probably is a better fit for Aaron Rodgers, honestly, than George Pickens would have been. They add Jonnu Smith. Their line's better. If they keep TJ Watt, they're going to be a better team than they were a year ago, most likely. But do they really care? I think is the big question. Like, are they just sort of bridging to keep their competitive? They're never bad.
Exactly.
So are they just bridging it? And if they're just bridging it, which I honestly, personally, I think would be fine if that's what they're doing, then yeah, you listen, you entertain offers for the 30-year-old TJ Watt. I mean, he's 30 years old. So if somebody's going to blow you away, sure, listen. He didn't want to be there anyway. So I'm fine with it either way. I think we're mischaracterizing what this has been. And I was guilty of this too, but I don't believe this anymore. They didn't bring Aaron Rodgers in there because they thought he was going to win them a Super Bowl. They brought Aaron Rodgers in because they don't ever want to be bad, and he's better than what they had. And they're also doing a variety of other things organizationally.
I think that's the reality. I think if you ask Mike Tomlin, they're trying to win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And if you were looking at the grand scheme of things, like sure, Sam Darnold and bringing Russell Wilson back, what was the best opportunity for the Pittsburgh Steelers to try and win a Super Bowl in 2025? It probably was bringing in Aaron Rodgers. And I guess making the trade for DK Metcalf and letting George Pickens go for all the reasons that you just said. They might be better than what they were last year, but does it matter? Because they're not better than Baltimore. They're probably not better than Cincinnati if they can figure some things out defensively and with a new coordinator. And I'm assuming that Joe Burrow and the receivers that they have are going to be those guys. And then even then, Cleveland might knock a game off of you because Joe Flacco is going to be hot for about 3 weeks of the season. And so you might catch those 3 weeks of the year. And so I think you're absolutely right. Like, sure, they might be better than last year, but at best are the third best team in the AFC North. And that still might get them into the playoffs because it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we've seen them do that just about every year, but they're not better necessarily.
Felix, let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs. I know that in the last week or so, we got the news that Josh Simmons would be fully ready to go for training camp. Andy Reid talked about that. He was brought up on an episode of New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelce, and Jason Kelce compared Josh Simmons to Trent Williams, said that he hasn't seen anybody do what Josh Simmons did in college since Trent Williams.
In college.
In college, right? But that's a lofty comparison, right? And so I think that obviously the expectations are he's going to be healthy for training camp, but I would imagine he may very well end up being the left tackle starting player week 1 for the Chiefs. What'd you feel about that comparison, and what are you seeing with him?
Some part of me is just trying to be cautiously pessimistic, if that's a real thing, just because of the injury and the last few years. We've talked about it 100 times, just because we've seen the Chiefs draft tackles and they just haven't worked out for one reason or another. And this is probably the highest graded prospect that they have drafted. Obviously, at least in the only guy they've drafted in the first round. Kingsley Suamataia was the first one they drafted in the second round before that. So they've increased. It's obviously become a bigger problem over the years. So they've increased where they're drafting guys at. But it is interesting to hear a guy like Travis Kelce, who's probably on his last year of the NFL. He's been around a lot of football. Jason Kelce, who was the best center in football for a very long time. Trey Smith, who is also a premier guard in the NFL. And obviously, these guys are biased, and in Jason Kelce's case, semi-biased. And so it is at least interesting to hear these guys talk about it, because he was this prospect that could have went in the top 10 of the draft, just like Trent Williams did however many years ago. So maybe they're right. I hope they're right. They have to be right, because I don't think the Chiefs would have made this move, because there were a few other spots, like we were talking about leading up to the draft, that the Chiefs could have got a contributor at. They could be getting a contributor at the only spot that they were really lacking at last year, and that could be huge.
Well, and the other thing is too, like, of all the experiments that the Chiefs have gone through to try to find tackles over the last few years, it's only this injury. Like, Josh Simmons it's not just Kelce saying, like, he's universally considered as, like, gifted and skilled a college tackle, as we've seen, like Trent Williams, guys like it, like there was general consensus that, skill wise, this guy was premier, that premier type tackle. It was just an injury. So the Chiefs have tried so many different things that are outside the box, right? Finding right tackles, making them left tackles, finding guys like Suamataia, who maybe doesn't even project as a like all of these things that they've tried over the years. This is the first one where it's like, nah, this dude's a really good left tackle. His concern was his injury. So I think if the injury's good, and it's still, I'm going to be a little bit, I believe everybody when they say he's fully ready to go. And if he is, and everybody lets him slide, he is as gifted as most think he is. If not, I've never heard anybody say his skill set doesn't translate. But if he really is that skilled and he is ready to go week 1 and that many teams let him slide because they were like, what are they looking at that the Chiefs, that's crazy to me.
And there were like 4 or 5 tackles that went in the first round. And Josh Simmons made it. He was the very last pick of the very first round. So it is kind of interesting on that front. But I mean, there was a reason why 31 teams passed on. I don't know why, what that is. And maybe the Chiefs just kind of said, all right, we need a tackle. And he was the highest guy the highest graded player on the board. I wasn't in the draft room, but for all the reasons that we've talked about, has all the skill set, has the college resume. He has the endorsement from 3 guys and one guy that's not really even in the organization that's giving him the highest endorsement of all. I am optimistic, but also I'm cautiously pessimistic just because that's probably more my problem than it is anybody else.
We're getting ready for training camp, a couple of weeks away, getting started for the Chiefs, and there are going to be some interesting positional battles. I know, like, one of the things I always look at is who's going to be at the very bottom of the wide receiver depth chart for the Chiefs. There are a handful of guys that are going to be battling for probably one spot down at the very bottom of the depth chart. And names that we're all familiar with, and Justin Ross and Sky Moore and Nico Remigio, and like there are guys that are going to be battling for that. I'm sure there are other pretty intriguing positional battles. Are there any that you're keeping an eye on as we're getting ready for training camp?
I am interested, like you're saying, with the wide receiver position. I'm interested, and it's more about like how guys are playing. Like, how does Rashee Rice look? How does Hollywood Brown look in a full training camp after the injury that he suffered? Jalen Royals, where is he going to fit in? Is he going to be a guy that's regularly contributing, or is he going to be like that 5th receiver off the bench? So I agree completely with that front. And then we've talked about Josh Simmons as much as we can. What I'm interested in is how these front 7 guys kind of fit into the roster as well. How Omar Norman-Lott, how Asher Gelati kind of fits in, just because we've talked about it. Some of these guys, George Karlaftis might be on his way out. There's a few different things that the Chiefs might have to do, at least in the front 7, because this is as much as they're trying to win right now, this is a 3, 4, 5-year plan that they have in front of them, just by the way that they've been drafting. And so it is going to be interesting to see how these younger contributors on the defensive side start to fit in, and even more so how the safeties look. Jaden Hicks, who's coming in for Justin Reed, who's no longer going to be with the Chiefs, and seeing how these guys who we've seen play really, really well over the first 3 or 4 years of their career, but this is the year where it's a contract year for a lot of them, but also at the same time, how do they fit in these upgraded roles?
Well, and I forgive me if I've asked you this. I don't think you and I have talked about this or with Tommy here. Last year, it was about this time. We had Mitch Holthus on, and he told us he thought the defense could be better than it was 2 years ago. We're both like, really? Are you sure? Because 2 years ago, it was one of the best in the league. He wasn't that far off, if not right. So I wonder this year, how do you think this defense can compare to the defense of the last couple of years, which in all reality has led the Chiefs far more than the offense? I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think the offense will lead the defense a little bit this year. Can the defense, though, be in the same ballpark it's been in the last couple of years with all these changes?
I think so. I think the only that, and I've been on this for a couple of years, I don't think there is a reason why the Chiefs defensive line couldn't lead the NFL in sacks, especially if you have a guy like Chris Jones that could get 15 for you in the middle and then absorb a double team, or he's just that dominant where he just increases his number to 20 or something like that. It sounds really simple, but at the same time, we've seen different things like that. And Chris Jones has been on the ballot for defensive player of the year. So we know that he's capable of a lot of different things. And George Karlaftis is coming up in a lot of the timing things that we just got done talking about. So I think this particular year, because of a lot of the timing that we've talked about, guys are getting into contract years. They're going to be paid by the Chiefs or someone else, or it is rookies coming in and hungry, trying to prove themselves on the team that has played in the last 3 Super Bowls. And so I think that is the interesting part about what Brett Veach has done and what a lot of general managers tend to do across the NFL, and you see it with Les Snead in the Rams, is that obviously you have a lot of experience with your quarterback and your head coach and guys that have been around and on other parts of your roster, but also you're drafting players that need to be contributors on day one, and so they're hungry as soon as they walk into the NFL, because yes, they're trying to win a Super Bowl, but they're trying to get their second contract. They're just trying to eat. So I mean, it's the combination of hunger and experience that makes teams really good. And I think the Chiefs have done a really good job of that over the last couple of years, and this is just another example of it.
It's all good stuff. Felix, what do you have coming for us in your writings and musings this week?
We have a new episode of the Let's Talk Ball podcast with me and Cody Alexander on the Match Quarters YouTube page. We'll have an episode with Anthony Lawson coming up tomorrow. We've got Let's Talk Ball Extra talking about the trade that we discussed at the beginning of this. Jalen Ramsey. We talked a little bit about Jair Alexander last week too. So you can get caught up on all of our different pods and everything. We try and keep everything football centric because it's one of the few football shows that talks about football.
And only football. And Felix
football.
is going to put it all out there for you. Follow him on X at Felix R. Johnson. We appreciate it. Every week we do this is 1 week closer to kickoff. We're getting
Appreciate
there.
you, gentlemen.
There goes Felix Johnson, our Chiefs Insider. We double him over as NFL Insider. What did you think? Were you surprised at all at that Steelers-Dolphins trade? I mean, obviously we were all surprised by it, I think. But are you surprised that kind of trade still happens in the NFL? We don't ever see that, Tom.
I don't know if I
never
was surprised.
see trades like that.
I don't know if I was surprised by the trade. I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around the strategy of the Steelers, like what they're doing this offseason. It doesn't mean that it's a bad trade. Like they got Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. I mean, for sure, like you're going to take that. I just can't wrap my head around what their overall front office strategy is.
This TJ Watt situation is really interesting. TJ Watt is an unbelievable player, Hall of Famer. How do you not listen? He's 30. He's 30. Like, what does that look like in 3 years? If one of these teams really, it would be so hard, especially for a team like the Steelers, because Tomlin is, hell-bent on winning every game he plays, and so is the front office and the ownership. But if TJ Watt it'd be different if TJ Watt never said a word, right? But he seems disgruntled for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a contract and they can settle that out. But man, I'd at least take the call. I would take the call. If somebody's offering you multiple three first round, but whatever it is, as many as they've got, like I'm listening if I'm the Steelers. Because the reality is, like, they're probably a 10-win team without TJ Watt, and they're probably a 10-win team with TJ Watt. As great as he is, that feels like their destiny is to be that middle of the pack.
And I don't think they're going to take the call. I mean, it sounds like they're pretty committed to signing him to an extension, but they don't negotiate during the season. The Steelers don't do that. So they've got to get it done sooner rather than later. I have no idea. I think it's going to be a stalemate for a while.
Yeah, the Steelers have had the two juiciest storylines of the offseason. Never thought that would happen. That never does happen for them either. All right, we'll come back. We got more Sports Daily. Don't go away.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
They're not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of fantasy. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now. 83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily, as we're making our way through a Tuesday here. Glad to have you with us. It's all Brockton Caster. Royals baseball tonight on KFH. In Seattle facing the Mariners. You can tune in 97.5, 1240 KFH tonight, 8:30 for coverage beginning, or listen online at kfhradio.com. Also on the Odyssey app, which is free. Just search KFH. I've been looking around, Tommy, as we continue to opine about the Royals and what they should do and what they could trade away. And, is there any hope at all, maybe a snowball's chance in hell that they can climb back into the playoff race, all of these things. And I keep going back to Seth Lugo. Every list you see basically starts with like Sandy Alcantara, okay, as the top pitcher on the market. Sandy Alcantara has a 6.98 ERA this year. He had a 4.14 ERA last year. It's been that long since he's been a really good player, and he was for a couple of years, 3 and 4 years ago. He has been pitching a little bit better lately, but in his last 3 starts, Tommy, he's given up 12 runs. So he's the guy that everyone keeps pointing at, this ace that's available and everything. I'm like, man, then I go look at Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo's got a 2.74 ERA this year and a 1.08 WHIP. Seth Lugo has been, since becoming a starting pitcher, which happened for him with the Padres essentially in 2023, has had a 3.57 ERA in his first year as a starter, a 3 ERA, where he was a 5+ WAR pitcher last year, and he's on pace to be better than both of those seasons this year. He's got a better ERA. He's got a better WHIP. I mean, if this plays out, Seth Lugo, to me, becomes by far one of, if not the most valuable trade assets on the market. I mean, what is the national narrative missing? Maybe they just think the Royals are still quote unquote contenders, and so he's not available. But even on lists where I've seen him available, he's still underneath other guys. There is not a more impactful pitcher to me that's going to be available than Seth Lugo.
Well, that's the key point. Is he going to be available? We don't know.
Sure.
I mean, JJ Piccolo has been pretty steadfast in, keeping his cards close to his chest and not revealing what plans are. And he may not even know what the plans are. I mean, the record and the way the team has played recently would lead me to believe that he probably is still on the fence about, what they're going to do. And I think that it's going to be a matter. I don't even want to say that it's a national narrative that's being crafted that Lugo is not included. It just may very well be that if Seth Lugo is going to get moved, other teams are going to have to be the ones to initiate that. That it may not very well be JJ Piccolo going out and putting him on the open market and saying, I'm going to take the highest bidder for Seth Lugo. It may very well be other teams coming to him and saying, we would like Lugo. What's it going to take to get him on the team? The other point that I'm going to make is that I've looked at a lot of lists, and while Sandy Alcantara is on those lists, there are much better pitchers that I'm seeing that are higher up on lists than Sandy Alcantara. Names like Freddie Peralta is on the list, and Merrill Kelly from the Diamondbacks is on the list. There are several others. Edward Cabrera, Mitch Keller. There are other names that are better, at least have a better stat line, better ERA overall than what Alcantara has done for the Marlins this year. So while they might move him, there are some other high profile.
Those guys, though, none of them sniff what Lugo has done the last 3 years. None of them do. I agree with you. The only part of this we don't really know is is there any indication from the Royals that Lugo would exercise his player option and play for $15 million next year? Maybe he loves it that much. That would be, look, if I knew that, I would say, well, just hang on to him. Don't trade him, right? Use him next year. Because again, back to what we talked about earlier, the Royals, there's no rebuild here. Like if they end up falling out and staying out of this and they can't ever climb back in this year, they immediately next year have the expectation to reach the postseason. So if he's given you any indication that he would exercise that player option for $15 million, then yeah, you don't trade him. But there's almost no world financially where you can see that happening. Never know. They re-signed Michael Wacha. Who knows, right? Like that would be the X factor. But again, if you've got potentially, and I think he would be as valuable or the most valuable trade asset on the market this year, at least from a pitching perspective, and maybe overall, the Royals, and they don't have to do this. They have a month to think about this and let it simmer. Why? Like you've got to really consider it. Like if you're not, if something drastic doesn't change in the month of July and you're sitting there and Lugo hasn't told you, you know what, I'll come back and pitch for $15 million next year, or let's rework a deal and I'll pitch for $18 million and we'll just do it. I love it here. I want to be here. Like, unless that's happening, I think you've got to like quietly be aggressive with it and just be like, here's the deal. We're not, like he can be available. We're not motivated, but motivate us, because their teams in a tight race like this, every single team in baseball essentially could use a Seth Lugo. You know who has 1 billion prospects and no place for them on their roster that could really use a starting pitcher? How about the Dodgers? You don't think the Dodgers would unload the Brinks truck? What do they have? What do they care about prospects? They have tons of them. Like, you don't think the Dodgers would back up the Brinks truck to bring in Seth Lugo? He'd be their number one guy in a post.
I think the Cubs could absolutely use Seth Lugo. They've got the wherewithal, I think, to make something like that happen, and to be pretty attractive to what the Royals are looking to do. I have no issue at all if the Royals decide they want to move Seth Lugo and if they feel like they can get a return for him. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. I think they've got enough arms in that starting rotation and guys that are coming back that, I think the return would be better than if they kept him on the roster and then he ends up leaving anyway. So I've got no issue with that. In fact, that would be the move that I feel like the Royals could make, that they could find other areas to improve right away where it wouldn't be a detriment to the team moving Seth Lugo. And they've got enough rotation pieces that I think they would be okay. I'm not, if JJ Piccolo decides he wants to be aggressive with Lugo, I'm not going to fault him whatsoever. For me, it's a little bit different than a guy like Noah Cameron. I'm going to need to be wowed, and I'm going to need to have it be the right fit and a long-term piece for the Royals that can actually be impactful for them for years to come before I'm okay with moving a guy like Noah Cameron. But Seth Lugo, if you can get a return right away and it's going to help you and it's going to make your offense better, sign me up. I'm on board for that.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron would be a strength-to-strength trade. Like, you're only including him in deals like Jaron Durant, right? Which would still make sense for you. No, Lugo's going to go down as one of the great free agent signings of all time. I mean, especially for the Royals, but even across, like, when was the last time you remember the sort of production from a free agent over a stretch now for a guy? I mean, he's been incredible for $15 million a year for a starting pitcher to give you on average about a 2.85 ERA and a WHIP just over 1. I mean, it has been insane how good and effective he's been as a starting pitcher. He just hasn't.
Hypothetically speaking, if they move Seth Lugo, is there a name in return that you feel like is or maybe it's multiple names that you feel like they should go after or get from an offensive perspective? Help them.
Yeah, so for sure. I think like you have to shoot for the moon. You have to look at like the Phillies. If the Phillies got in, I'm just trying to think of the teams who do enough in free agency, right? Where they kind of make you think about this stuff. So who is motivated? Like, if I'm calling the Phillies right now and the Phillies would like to add that piece to try to win a World Series, that conversation for me starts with Andrew Painter, number 5 overall prospect in baseball, who's a pitcher. The Dodgers are an interesting organization because they've kind of tapped in a lot, but they have. And the thing about them is like I'm looking at them, they've got 3 prospects in the top 40. I want 2 of them, right? And I don't know their names as well. I'm just looking at a ranking list here. They're not like the highest end, but they're 3 in the top 4. I want 2 of them. I would shoot that high if I was the Royals. Other teams that could get into that conversation that might be motivated, the Giants. They are an aggressive team. I don't think the Yankees, who are also aggressive, have the need as much as some of these others. The Cubs don't have the top end prospects, but they have enough. Every team in baseball has enough of them. Basically, every team in baseball has more of them than the Royals currently have. So you just have to put together. I don't know if they'll be able to get a blue chip prospect out of it because the team that they match up with might not have one. But you're looking at, like, I need 3 legit, bona fide, like these project as big league player type prospects as you can give me in order to make a move like that, Lugo is probably a rental, right? That's the only thing, is he's probably a rental, and teams have been less inclined to do that over the years. But if you were the Phillies right now in the position that they're in, you have Andrew Painter, who's this all-world prospect, right? He's been ready to come up, it feels like forever. Would you give him up for Seth Lugo this year? Because if I'm the Phillies,
I would look at that potentially.
So I think you can attack it a lot of different ways if you're the Royals. Do you look for that one blue chipper, or do you look for, and this is probably more likely and maybe a better reality for the Royals anyway, do you look for 3 or 4 of a team's top 5 or 6 prospects to really bolster that farm and build yourself up? Because the reality is they can turn around and flip some of those players in the offseason if they want to be aggressive that way too and bring in a big league ready player. You're just giving yourself the ammunition for a player that almost certainly, unless there's a conversation we don't know about, going to exercise his player option for $15 million next year. Seth Lugo, Tommy, has pitched like a $30 million a year pitcher. Easily by the standards now that we see free agent. If Seth Lugo hit the market right now, let me look at real quick.
Well, he's going to. I mean, the Royals are going to get outbid. Like if he hits the market,
they'll have to get outbid. They can't.
Yeah.
Stick around with that.
Let me throw a trade out at you. Let me throw a team out at you. You mentioned Sandy Alcantara. The Marlins are going to be sellers for the most part, it looks like. Alcantara is on the block, probably. So is Jesus Sanchez, their outfielder. Both of those guys are under team control for a few years. I mean, could the Royals look at packaging something up? And maybe it's Noah Cameron. Maybe it's Seth Lugo. Maybe it's both of them. You trade 2 pitchers away and you get Alcantara and you get Jesus Sanchez back.
The Marlins Marlins would lose DeGrom. I mean, they would lose Lugo. So I don't think they, but to an aggressive trade with a seller, yeah, I think the Royals can make moves like that. That's where Boston comes in. Highest paid pitchers right now are around 25 to 70 million when you go to Shohei, but 25 to 40. Lugo's making at least 20. He's going to hit the market almost certainly, unless there's conversation happening. We'll come back. We got more Sports Daily. Don't go away.